Why does Wild Turkey 101 at $24 get called Desert Island Whiskey by experienced drinkers, while Jameson at $26 gets recommended to tourists? This ranking of 11 whiskeys under $35 reveals which bottles Reddit actually drinks versus which ones they gift to people they don't respect.
The answer at 4 will make you question every whiskey purchase. 11. Crown Royal Deluxe Canadian Whiskey for people who think drinking anything is sophistication at $28. Diageo owns this since acquiring Seagram's assets in 2000, making it the world's best-selling Canadian whiskey, not through quality, but through purple velvet bags that scream, "I bought this as a gift because I don't know whiskey." Blended from 50-plus whiskeys using primarily corn, 70% plus, at 94% ABV, then aged in used bourbon barrels minimum 3 years, proof to 40% ABV after heavy chill filtration, removing any character. The liquid shows thin viscosity, mild vanilla sweetness, faint oak, gentle 40% warmth, short 35-second finish with nothing memorable. Reddit admits it's exceptionally smooth, which is code for boring, one-dimensional, designed for mixing with ginger ale, not appreciating neat. Diageo revenue topped $20 billion in 2024, with Crown Royal as flagship Canadian brand moving millions of cases through gift shop placement and NBA sponsorships. Serve with ginger ale where it belongs, or give to people you tolerate but don't respect. 10. Jameson Irish Whiskey. John Jameson founded this in 1780 when Irish whiskey dominated global spirits, now owned by Pernod Ricard, producing 31-plus million bottles annually of triple distilled adequacy at $26. The Protestant versus Catholic whiskey debate claims Jameson is Catholic whiskey versus Bushmills Protestant, based purely on geography. Dublin versus Belfast, but bartender Jeffrey Morgenthaler calls this widely accepted Irish-American version merely based on geography. Sectarian marketing fiction. Triple distillation in pot stills creates lighter spirit around 80% ABV, matured in ex-bourbon and ex-sherry casks, 4 to 7 years, bottled 40% ABV after chill filtration. The liquid presents moderate viscosity, vanilla and caramel from casks, light fruit, apple, honey sweetness, gentle warmth, 40-45-second finish. Pernod Ricard Scotch and Irish whiskey sales exceeded 3+ billion fiscal 2024, with Jameson as second largest Irish brand globally. This could have honored John Jameson's 1780 rebellion against mediocrity. Instead, it's Pernod Ricard's volume play. Serve in Irish coffee. Coffee, 1.5-ounce Jameson, brown sugar, cream, where it's acceptable. Or give to tourists who think green bottles mean Irish authenticity. 9. Bushmills Original. Founded 1784 in Northern Ireland, some claim 1608, making it world's oldest licensed distillery, but that's disputed. Now owned by Proximo Spirits, Jose Cuervo parent, after Diego antitrust divestment at $25. Triple distilled in copper pot stills using 100% malted barley, unusual for entry Irish whiskey, which typically uses grain whiskey blends. Aged minimum 3 to 5 years in ex-bourbon and ex-sherry casks, bottled 40% ABV. The Protestant-Catholic sectarian divide claimed Bushmills as Protestant whiskey because it's in Northern Ireland, but this is geographic stereotyping, not actual religious affiliation. I've been drinking Irish whiskey 47 years, and Bushmills represents honest production before corporations optimized everything. They still use 100% malt when competitors cut with cheaper grain whiskey. Light viscosity, honey and vanilla, orchard fruit, apple, pear, malt character, gentle 40% warmth, clean 35-40 second. 8. Bulleit Rye. Diageo's small batch rye that's actually mass-produced at MGP in Indiana using their 95.5 rye malted barley mash bill. The same juice hundreds of NDPs bottle under different labels at $25.
Tom Bulleit's great-great-grandfather allegedly made Frontier whiskey in 1830s. Brand disappeared. Tom resurrected it 1987, then sold to Seagram's 1997, who sold to Diageo 2000. It's corporate resurrection theater, not heritage.
MGP's Lawrenceburg distillery produces 95% rye whiskey at massive scale using column stills, ages minimum 4 years in new charred oak, bottles at 45% ABV, giving it more backbone than 40% competitors.
Bespoke style cause it sets the standard for rye whiskey, leans fruity with subtle pepper and spice, slightly oily body with medium finish.
The 95% rye is extreme compared to barely legal 51% rye, creating aggressive spice profile that challenges instead of coddles. That's punk rock even if Diageo owns it. Reddit mentions it constantly as mixing rye for Manhattans and old fashions because high rye stands up to vermouth and bitters. Moderate viscosity, cherry and fruit esters, black pepper and cinnamon spice, mint freshness, oily mouthfeel, 50-55 second spicy finish. Fuck your craft distillery pretensions. MGP makes great rye whiskey at scale, and Bulleit bottles it honestly at 45% ABV. Serve in Manhattan. 2-ounce Bulleit rye, 1-ounce Carpano Antica, 2 dashes Angostura, where rye spice elevates entire cocktail.
7. Elijah Craig Small Batch. Heaven Hill's flagship bourbon at $30 that bourbon nerds debate endlessly because it lost its 12-year age statement in 2016, sparking "Did the quality drop?" Reddit wars. Named after Baptist minister Elijah Craig, who allegedly invented bourbon in 1789. Disputed history, probably marketing. This uses Heaven Hill's standard 78-10-12 mash, aged 8 to 12 years pre-2016. Now NAS, no age statement, suggesting 6 to 8 years average. Column distillation at Bernheim. Barrel entry 125 proof. Aged in Heaven Hill's 47 rickhouses holding 1.6 million barrels total. Bottled 47% ABV, giving it backbone. I've poured this 10,000 times. Half my customers swear post-2016 batches are thinner and younger tasting. Half claim no difference. All of them keep buying it because $30 for 8-year bourbon is solid value. Rich caramel and vanilla from oak lactones, dark fruit, cherry, fig, bacon spice, medium-high viscosity from 47% ABV, 55-60 second finish with oak tannins. Heaven Hill won't admit they dropped age to meet demand as bourbon boom exploded 2010-2020, but removing age statement while maintaining $30 price is classic corporate move. Reddit's $30 or less threads consistently mention EC Small Batch alongside Wild Turkey 101 and Old Granddad BIB. Serve neat to taste Heaven Hill house character, or old-fashioned where 47% ABV provides proper backbone. 6. Powers Gold Label, Ireland's best-selling Irish whiskey domestically that Americans ignore because Jameson spent millions on marketing while Powers spent $0 at $28. Pernod Ricard owns both, but positions Jameson for global tourists and Powers for Irish locals who actually know whiskey. Single pot still Irish whiskey using mix of malted and unmalted barley, triple distilled in copper pot stills at Middleton Distillery, aged 6 to 7 years in ex-bourbon casks, bottled 43.2% ABV, giving it more character than 40% competitors. Reddit user recommended it as best under $35, Powers Gold Label. Probably be either Balcones Bourbon or Powers Gold Label. The spicy character from unmalted barley creates oily mouthfeel and pepper notes missing from triple distilled smoothness at Jameson. This is actual Irish whiskey tradition before Pernod Ricard's global optimization. Moderate high viscosity, honey and vanilla, orchard fruit, black pepper spice from pot still oils, malt sweetness, 43.2 ABV warmth builds, 50-55 second finish with spice. Production cost maybe $7 to $9 per bottle at Middleton's industrial scale. Retail $28 is fair margin, not exploitation. Powers proves you don't need marketing budgets or purple bags to make quality whiskey. Just honest distillation and fair pricing. Serve neat to taste what Irish locals drink, or Irish coffee, where extra proof stands up to coffee bitterness.
5. Old Grandad 114. Raymond Hayden's 1882 High Rye Recipe, 63-27-10, bottled at 114 proof, creating aggressive beast that separates whiskey drinkers from whiskey poseurs at $28. Jim Beam produces this at Claremont using column steels, ages 4+ years. Bottles at 57% ABV without chill filtration because at this proof it would cause flocking. Rare transparency. He Spoke Style recommends letting this one sit for a day after opening, and to do it justice by sipping it neat. The high proof needs oxidation to open up layers. Reddit's $30 or less and $50 or less threads consistently rank OGD 114 as top value bourbon. At 27% rye nearly doubles typical bourbon's 12 to 15%, creating spicy assault. Leather, oak, black pepper, vanilla, citrus, cinnamon, mint. Thick viscosity from 57% ABV, oily mouthfeel, aggressive rye phenolics, honest ethanol burn, 70-80 second finish coating palate with spice and heat. Suntory's Beam Suntory produces millions of cases annually, but OGD 114 represents maybe 50,000 cases. It's overlooked because high proof scares casual drinkers. I've been drinking bourbon 47 years, and this is one of 5 bottles I keep stocked. It's what bourbon tasted like before smooth became marketing priority over character. Serve neat with waterback or old-fashioned, where 57% ABV provides proper backbone for sugar and bitters. 4. Wild Turkey 101. All whiskey searching is suffering. And Wild Turkey 101 at $24 teaches you the only lesson that matters. Drink what's good and available. Ignore the rest. Reddit users stated WT101 and Buffalo Trace is all you need, and another called it my desert island whiskey. When forced to choose one bottle forever, people who actually drink choose this. Campari Group owns Wild Turkey since 2009. Produces at Lawrenceburg, Kentucky using 75-13-12 mash. Column distills lower than competitors at 145 proof instead of 160, maintaining more flavor. Enters barrels at 107-110 proof instead of 125, more expensive but better extraction. Ages 6 to 8 years. Bottles 50.5% ABV. Master distiller Eddie Russell, son of legendary Jimmy Russell, who's been at Wild Turkey since 1954, maintains production standards despite corporate ownership. That's integrity. The liquid delivers everything bourbon should be. Caramel and vanilla from oak, cherry and citrus from esters, cinnamon and pepper from rye, honey sweetness, thick viscosity from 50.5% ABV, 60 to 65 second finish with warmth. Production costs maybe $8 to $10 per bottle. Retail $24 is honest pricing, not gouging. Multiple Reddit threads prove WT101 is what experienced drinkers actually buy when hype fades and they just want good whiskey. Serve neat, rocks, cocktails. It works everywhere because it's complete whiskey. The liberation. Stop chasing allocated bottles and Instagram flex. Just drink WT101 and be free.
3. Rittenhouse Rye. Heaven Hell's barely legal 51% rye, bottled in bond at 100 proof for $25-28 that bartenders worship because it's the perfect Manhattan base. And Heaven Hill knows it. Keep it priced low for bar accounts. Made at Bernheim using 51% rye, 35% corn, 14% malted barley. Much lower rye than Bulleit's 95% or OGD's 27%. Column distilled, aged minimum 4 years per BIB requirements, bottled 50% ABV. The controversy. This is barely legal rye with minimum 51% rye versus high rye 95% styles. Yet bartenders prefer it for cocktails because corn sweetness balances rye spice instead of overwhelming. Reddit's cocktail and whiskey threads consistently mention Rittenhouse as best mixin' rye, with some preferring it neat over higher proof options. Heaven Hill produces this at massive scale alongside their bourbon portfolio. Rittenhouse probably costs $6 to $8 to produce. Retail $25-28 is fair margin maintaining bar relationships. The liquid, caramel and vanilla from bourbon-like mash, moderate rye spice, not aggressive, cherry fruit, mint, cinnamon, medium-high viscosity from 50% ABV, 55-60 second finish balanced. Heaven Hill's strategy. Keep Rittenhouse affordable for bars while charging $40 for Pikesville Rye. Same distillery, higher proof, fancy bottle, capturing both segments. Serve in Manhattan. 2-ounce Rittenhouse, 1-ounce Carpano Antica, 2 dashes Angostura, where bartenders intended, or neat to taste why 51% rye works. 2. Redwood Empire Lost Monarch. Purple Wine and Plus Spirits, parent of Redemption Rye, launched Redwood Empire 2017 with data-driven approach. Source premium MGP bourbon and rye stocks. Blend for a specific flavor profiles. Bottle at optimal proof points. Price at $30 to $35, undercutting comparable quality. Lost Monarch uses bourbon blend. Mash bill undisclosed, but likely MGP's 60-36-4 high rye or 75-21-4, aged 4 to 6 years, bottled at 45% ABV with unique bottle design featuring California redwood tree topographic map. Reddit user recommended it. The base releases of Redwood Empire are about $30-ish and are all good, with reply, "Yep, Lost Monarch would be my pick." The brand names each whiskey after California redwood trees, Lost Monarch, Pipe Dream, Emerald Giant, creating nature-focused brand identity, differentiating from heritage bourbon narratives. This is modern whiskey business model. Skip building distillery, $20 million plus investment. Source from MGP or other suppliers. Focus on blending and marketing. Achieve profitability year one instead of waiting decade for aged stock. The liquid shows moderate high viscosity, rich caramel and vanilla, dark fruit, cherry, raisin, bacon spice, cinnamon. 45% ABV provides backbone, 60-65 second finish with oak tannins. Market analysis. Redwood Empire competes with aged bourbon, $40 to $60 at $32 price point, by sourcing quality aged stocks during supplier overproduction periods. Arbitrage opportunity. Serve neat to taste modern whiskey business model, or old-fashioned where quality base justifies cocktail. Nikka coffee grain Japanese whiskey at $35 to $45 that exposes the entire whiskey industry's grain whiskey prejudice, while Suntory charges triple for similar quality and fancy bottles. Nikka founder Masataka Taketsuru studied in Scotland 1918, returned to Japan, worked for Suntory, then left to found Nikka in 1934. He's the father of Japanese whiskey who chose craft over corporate. This uses 2 coffee stills, column stills invented by Aeneas Coffey 1830, imported from Scotland 1963, still operating at Miyakikyo Distillery, distilling corn 75% and other grains to 90% ABV, aged in ex-bourbon casks 6 to 10 years, bottled 45%.
The conspiracy. Western whiskey culture dismissed grain whiskey as inferior vodka with color, used only for blending. But Nikka bottled 100% grain whiskey, proving it's delicious. Vanilla, tropical fruit, butterscotch, coconut, citrus. Santori versus Nikka debate. Santori focuses careful craftsmanship and celebrity. Bill Murray lost in translation. Prices Toki at $35 and Hibiki at $70. Nikka embraces bold ideas. Prices Coffey grain $35 to $45, delivering equal quality without prestige tax.
Reddit notes whiskey is so cheap in Japan. This one was about 10 USD, but international export taxes triple the price. You're paying tariffs, not quality premium. The liquid presents high viscosity, almost oily, intense vanilla and toffee, tropical fruit, mango, pineapple, coconut, butterscotch, citrus brightness, 45% ABV warmth, 70 to 75 second finish with vanilla coating.
Nikka proves grain whiskey can be complex and delicious when made with integrity, challenging century of prejudice from Scotch and bourbon purists. This is whiskey's hidden truth. Column distillation isn't inferior, just different, and corporations trained you to pay more for pot still mythology. Serve neat to taste what Taketsuru learned in Scotland and perfected in Japan. Or highball, whiskey, soda water, lemon, where grain whiskey's lightness shines.